we have the opportunity here to really beef up our defensive line through the draft, possibly through free agency. But I think that getting a guy like Myles Garrett would be phenomenal. But if you're giving up all your draft capital this year to get Myles Garrett, then he gets hurt, then we're in a bad spot. So
100%.
If it's draft picks, future draft picks, then I would say, yeah, let's do it. But if it's multiple draft picks from this draft coming up, which is already deep with defensive linemen, then maybe we don't do that trade. I think it's something to explore, but I don't think it's worth sacrificing the amount of picks that we have for this upcoming draft, because you need to have more depth at your defensive line and in your defense in general. And one of the things too is that, obviously they're going to need to kind of rebuild their cornerback position. All the guys they brought in, Yadam, Rock Ya-Sin, all those guys are all gone. And so who do you have? You have Renardo Green. You have Demo Lenore. You have Darrell Luter Jr. But outside of that, you don't got much.
And don't forget Malik and Mustafa.
Malik. Well, I'm saying in terms of cornerbacks. Secondary, okay. Yeah. You have Jair Brown. You have Malik Mustafa. You have some of the guys you brought in as well. But at the corner position, they really need to dig deep and figure out who they can get in the draft and who they need to bring in for agency-wise to help kind of strengthen that. Because that was something that they tried to add more depth to this past season. And it failed them because the guys they brought in, look at Samuel Womack. They let him go for Isaac Yadam. And I thought Yadam was terrible. Aside from the occasional good play, the majority of his plays was terrible. He was getting beat left and right. It's why he's a journeyman. And Samuel Womack, the guy they gave up on, the guy they drafted, went on to have a more successful season under Gus Bradley in Indianapolis. And so, again, you brought in guys like Isaac Yadam, Devondre Campbell. Terrible signings. These guys were not good. They did not live up to the expectation of their contracts. And so the Niners need to be better at who they're bringing in and stick with the guys based on their talent level as opposed to the contracts that they signed them to. You sign a guy to a 1-year deal. He's underperforming. Then he doesn't make the team or he doesn't start. I don't care if you paid the guy. You go with the guy who's playing better.
Yeah,
or is more talented.
It's supposed to be a meritocracy. It's supposed to be whoever the best player is.
Exactly. But for me, at least, real quick, if you want to get back to where, let's say, the Eagles are at, and you want to be able to perform at that high level like we were, let's say, a couple years ago, then I think that it has to be at the offensive line. That's where it starts. Drew Dahlman.
His father played on the 49ers back.
Yeah.
He was a offensive lineman. Yep.
Drew Dahlman. Yeah, Drew Dahlman is like the premier free agent center out in the league, or out in free agency coming up. I think that's the guy you got to get because Jake Brendel is terrible.
Yes, he's awful.
Jake Brendel's awful. If he's your backup, okay, sure. If he's your starter, no. He's undersized. He underperformed. He can't get blocks in the second level. Like, I'm okay. Look, you're going to have Trent Williams as your left tackle. Aaron Banks, he's gone. I wouldn't even resign that guy. He played so terrible that I would not want to deal with Aaron Banks. I wouldn't give him that money after the way he played. He's scheduled to make something around like $8 million a year. I wouldn't pay him $8 million after what I got out of him last season, which was terrible. I think I'd be better off. I'd be happier if we went with a combination of either Spencer Burford and Ben Barch. Let those two play it out, and then those are the guys that are cutting. That's your right guard. Oh, I'm sorry, left guard. Right guard, we know we got Dominic Pooney. So your biggest holes is your center and your right tackle. Now look, you got Colt McKivitz. He actually didn't have that bad of a year. Could you go one more year with him? Probably, and I bet you anything they probably will. But the center position by far was the worst position on the offensive line for the Niners last season. And they had no answer for that. They were just kind of hoping on, like, well, if Feliciano comes back, maybe he can slip in here. And then he didn't come back. And then they were stuck with Jake Brendel, and he never got better. He never did. So offensive line is where they need to bring in more talent, and I think Drew Dahlman is the answer. That should be one of the main things that you bring in is Drew Dahlman as your starting center.
I'm 100% with you on the not bringing in Myles Garrett as a free agent, or excuse me, as a trade option. If I'm the 49ers, yeah, if it's not future picks, I don't want any part of it because you're right. It's great to have a guy like that on the team, but if you have no depth behind it and he gets hurt, then you're right back to 2023. So, or
Exactly.
2024. If I'm the 49ers and I go into free agency, the two things I look for in free agency, I'm gonna probably, like you said, I'm go center, and I might go safety. Okay, maybe knock out another backup corner. Take those three things. Take care of that in free agency.
Yeah.
If you want to get a wide receiver in here, that's cool too. But you can't give up any draft picks. Not this year.
No.
It's not a great draft for wide receiver. So if you do a free agency move, a wide receiver, that totally makes sense. As far as the draft, it's really strong. A lot of people say in defensive linemen. So if I'm the 49ers, I'm not going to go every pick, of course, and take offense and defensive linemen in the draft, but they need the depth really bad. People ask, like, would you give up the number 11 pick for Myles Garrett? And it's like,
yes,
if it was only the number 11 pick, just a swap.
If it was number 11 pick and a future second round pick, or a couple of future picks, then yes. But if it's going to be the number 11 pick plus 4 of my picks in this coming draft, and then no, I can't deplete the team that much. They need to bring in reinforcements at these positions, especially defensive line. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more of this content, then check out some of these recommended videos right here on your screen. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by going to my website, which is nicotina.net, and there are memberships available under DreArea Sports.